underwear I have on. That fucking hole
We're
in the front
live.
so tight on my dick. It's like, oh, you live? They're uncomfortable. It's like a scissor for your penis. Am I allowed to curse in this thing?
Oh, yeah.
Because I use curse words like they're punctuation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at the 1023 podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Einstein, along with my furry little co-host and the star of the show, Gunna the Service Dog. We're super excited to be back on the air. We've got a great show lined up for you. For those of you, our loyal followers and listeners, we cannot thank you enough for all the support. If you're just tuning in for the first time, be sure to hit our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Give us a like, give us a follow, and share anything you see. You never know who's going to see one of the episodes, see one of our videos. It might just change their life forever. It's been about, 3 weeks since we posted our last episode. We're getting better. We're trying to be more frequent with the posts and the episodes. Been talking with my guest for a few months at least, trying to figure out how to get him on the show. And we're super excited to have him here. So tonight's episode, Headshot, is dedicated to Atlantic City Police Officer Richard Link. Officer Link joined the ACPD in 2019 as a full-time officer. Before that, he was hired as a part-time officer in 2016. In 2020, he was assigned to the riot investigation team, but unfortunately lost the battle with his demons and committed suicide in August 2020. Officer Link has a pretty close bond with our guest here tonight and some of our other friends that I've had the pleasure of working with. They were really close with him, and his death really hit home. And, it kind of brought full circle everything we do. And we say, our last episode, My Brother's Keeper, the thin blue line, right? All that stuff we talk about, how being a police officer is being a part of the family. I was never fortunate enough to meet Officer Link, but I heard amazing stories, and when he passed, even though I never met him, I lost a brother. So tonight's episode is dedicated to you, brother. So like I said, we are super excited to be back on the air. We have a guest that, as I got to know him, I never thought I'd be able to say this, but he might actually be crazier than me. Which, for those of you who know me, are probably thinking, like, how is that possible? So he's a man that needs no introduction. So I'd like to welcome onto the 1023 podcast, Josh Vaddell of the Atlantic City Police Department. Josh, thank you for being today, coming into our studio, if you will. So I was talking with Josh beforehand, and we were explaining how when we started the podcast, we had the studio, but the Brothers Before Others group that got me into this podcast came up and decided to move their headquarters. And during that, they're building a completely new studio. Hopefully that's going to be done around you, putting out episodes. So we figured out how to do these remote location podcasts, if you will. I can't thank enough the guys behind the scenes. My producer, if you will, Josh. I won't use his last name since I didn't ask him for permission, but Josh is such an amazing human being. Not this Josh, another Josh. He's also amazing. He works up north, and I mean, that's a guy who absolutely bleeds blue. He got me into this and really helped me with all the technical stuff that I didn't understand at first. In addition to Josh, Mike Burke, the founder of Brothers Before Others, huge supporter of this podcast. He has his own show, Mike the Cop, or Uncensored with Mike the Cop, it might be. retired NYPD. I mean, as old school as you can get, just a phenomenal human being. And Tom Werther of Line of Duty Cigars, whose beautiful voice you heard for the disclaimer. He went above and beyond to help me out to make this remote podcast possible. So you guys, I cannot thank you enough. And for everyone out there watching and listening, be sure to keep Josh's family in your prayers. His daughter underwent surgery yesterday or the day before. She's in good spirits. Everything went well. But like I said, when...
Producer Josh.
What's that?
Producer Josh.
Producer Josh, not Josh. Yeah, there's a lot of Joshes.
I know. Scumbag name.
It's a scumbag name. I like it. But we're all one family. And, to hear his daughter doing well, we're really happy. But just keep him in your prayers for a speedy recovery. So, Josh, like I said, I am super excited to have you on the show. I've been fortunate to have... none of my guests have been anything short of amazing, but each of them has their own story. And before I knew you, obviously working in Jersey, we heard of your incident, which we'll get into. And then with one of the nonprofits I'm with, Operation Enduring Warrior, with everything I went through, they got me into skydiving. And it was really cool seeing you skydive at my home drop zone of Cross Keys, which is super cool. Knowing you a lot better now, I don't think you ever gave it a second thought to jumping out of a plane.
No.
Me, I never wanted to do it. And when they asked me, hey, let's go jump out of a plane, I was like, hard no. I like being on the ground. But that was right after my first partner, Trooper Sean Cullen, passed away. And they said, well, what would Sean do? And I'm like, he was crazy. And I'm like, well, he would take his clothes off, throw them out the plane, and throw his parachute out and see which he could catch first.
Yeah.
So I ended up going under Virginia and getting in a plane, begrudgingly let go, and I found freedom at 14,000 feet.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's one of those feelings that if you haven't done it, it's hard to explain. And from someone who didn't want to do it, I mean, I still don't do roller coasters. I am definitely afraid of roller coasters. I've only done about 103 jumps, nothing in comparison to all the other skydivers, in the skydiving world. But I wish I found that sooner. And when I ask them, I say, hey, let's go jump out of a plane, and they're like, fuck no. Yeah. I'm like, listen, I'll tell you from firsthand experience, I was the guy who didn't want to do it. You got to do it. And it's the people I think that don't want to skydive when they do get the most out of it. So before we get into the nitty gritty of your story, I like to do what I call the lightning round. Just some shoot from the hip questions. First answer comes to the good side of your head. And we'll get into that in a second. It's for our audience to get to know you a little bit better, find out some things that they probably didn't know. And I call it the lightning round because I dedicate it to my late grandmother, whose nickname was Lightning. Oh, yeah. And she was, awesome. The light of our huge family. She had 7 kids. Her and my pop were never not busy.
Part rabbit?
I think so. And I hear after she passed, I could still hear her laugh, and I think she'd be up there, loving this whole thing, but just the 100%. Answers, I know she gets a laugh out of it. So first answer comes to your head. Favorite animal?
Dog.
Why?
They protect you. They're loyal.
Okay.
Pretty much it.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Yeah, because I'm a cop.
No.
All right. What is your go-to drink?
Bourbon.
Bourbon?
Yep.
All right. See, I'm a big bourbon guy now.
Love it.
Finally have a guest on the show that's given answers that I didn't disagree with. The first couple of guests, I think my second guest was a sergeant of mine, and I asked him about boneless or regular chicken wings. He's like, boneless. I'm like, come on, man. But yeah, so we're 3 for 3. Favorite sports team?
Which sport?
Fair enough.
All right, football, Eagles.
Eagles? Okay. Are you like a Philly, everything Philly kind of fan? All right, so you're not one of those weird guys that has I love the Eagles, but then your baseball team, you're like, yeah, go Yankees.
Nah.
Okay, cool. So, you are born and raised in South Jersey.
Yeah.
Down the shore.
Yeah.
Oh, that right. My one question I did want to ask you. So, being from Ocean City and that area, Mac and Manco's or Preps Pizza?
Max.
All right. Well, we didn't get all the answers I liked. I grew up on Preps. Love Preps.
Okay.
Mac and Manco's can...
Well, I mean, it's...
yeah, they're just... ugh.
I grew up eating Max, but I like... There's the specialty shops that have the crazy fucking pizzas.
Yeah. What's the one... There's one in Wildwood. Is it...
Brothers?
Three brothers?
Yeah, it's something. Some of them have... It's a gigantic slice.
Huge ass big slice.
Yeah. Last question. Best unknown bar in Atlantic City to go to?
Best unknown? Wonder Bar?
Wonder Bar? See, I don't know what that
or
is.
Vagabond. I mean, there's a bunch of
They hole in the walls?
No, they're nice.
Oh, they are. They're bougie.
I don't know many hole in the walls anymore.
Maybe Ducktown, maybe.
Nah.
No, it's not even a hole in the wall anymore.
No, I just don't frequent it.
Okay. All right. So you were born...
Personal choice.
Personal choice, okay. So you were born and raised in New Jersey. Where, like, Rummy, where'd you grow up?
All over. I mean, I lived in Ocean City for a little while.
Okay. North End or South End?
I think towards the north end. It was Wesley and Central Avenue.
Oh, yeah, it's north. Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, I was born in Pomona.
Okay.
Near Galway. In Galway. It's like a part of Galway. And then I lived in Little Egg Harbor for a while until probably about I was 10 years old. Then my parents split up.
Okay.
And then my mom and I went to Ocean City for a little while to live with my aunt. And we left there, went to Margate, left there, went to Galloway.
Yeah, so you pretty much didn't leave the coastal area.
Nah.
And you went to Absegamy High School?
That's where I graduated from, yeah.
Okay. What?
Barely.
Well, that's why you're...
Yeah,
you know,
right, exactly.
Yeah, I always joke that I'm a cop because I got C's in high school. Like, yeah. Where's Absegamy? Is it in Absegamy? Because is Absegamy in town? No,
it's in Galloway.
Galloway, okay.
Yeah. I think Absegamy was like a tribe of Indians or something.
Okay, I mean, that makes sense. Jersey's full of different Native American tribes and all that. When I worked in my previous department in West Hampton, there was the Rancocas tribe that was there, the old Indian
I'm
reservation.
supposed to be looking at them when I'm talking, or you?
You can look at me, them. You can look at the wall.
Well,
I really don't care.
They're better looking.
I mean, that no one's gonna argue that. I got a face for radio. I try and hide it with the mustache, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you graduated in 2005?
Yep.
Okay. And did you become a cop right after high school, or did you go to college?
Basically, I did college for a couple years.
Okay.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just taking general courses at ACC.
ACCC,
wherever
Atlantic
the fuck
Cape
this
Community
is on.
College.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So you didn't know you wanted to be a cop?
Not at first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't until my brother became a cop. I didn't think I was cut out for it because I was always in trouble.
You in trouble?
Nah, yeah.
No, not from the stories I've heard. You're a church-going boy.
Yeah, right. I got a 666 somewhere tattooed on my head. I was born with it.
Little horns too.
Yeah, hell yeah. But
so,
yes, I didn't think I was cut out for the job.
Okay.
My brother became a police officer. While I was in school, I was working at Carmine's in Tropicana.
Okay.
Making great money. He asked me one day, bro, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you try being a cop like me? I'm like, I don't know if I'm cut out for that. He's like, well, just try. He's like, it's a good job. You can prevent what happened to us from happening to somebody else, and you can help the way the cops helped us, kind of deal. I was kind of, that's a good point. So I took the civil service test, and he told me, study. I'm like, I'm not a fucking studier. I've never been a studier. I just take tests. I do well somehow. I don't fucking know. I slept in high school. But I took the test. I got a great score, and then they called me up like, hey, we're going to do your background investigation. I'm like, oh, shit, like, it's getting real. And at the same time, like, I was smoking weed and stuff.
Of course. That makes par for the course, I suppose.
Exactly. And then so I passed the background investigation, and then they're like, all right, they called me up, like, hey, you got to come take a piss test. I'm like, fuck. How am I going to beat this? I was chugging the apple cider vinegar, trying to flush my system out.
Man.
Because I was worried if my brother found out, he was going to kick my fucking ass.
Oh, so you didn't even know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Nope.
Okay.
Just my friends.
And was he on with Atlantic City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he got on in I think like 2004, 2005.
Okay.
I forget exactly when. So once it got real, obviously I passed, got hired, and it just started getting real for me. He promised me, he's like, no matter what, he's like, shit's gonna be hard. The academy's gonna be hard. He's like, and because he was there 2 years before, he's like, I'm gonna make it harder. I'm gonna call the instructors and tell them to make it extra hard on it.
That's a good brother.
Yeah.
Why should it be easy?
Exactly.
So, what year is this?
07.
Okay. So you went to the academy in 2007?
Yeah.
Did you go to Cape May County?
Yep.
Okay. So you went to a real police academy.
Exactly. Yeah.
You didn't go to the real academy, the basic course for specials. So you went in. When did you start the academy in 07?
I think it was either January or February.
So you graduated 6 months later.
Yeah.
Mid 07. Okay, because I went to Cape May for the special academy in 2008. There was a full-time class graduating. I don't know. While we were there, they graduated.
Yeah.
I know there was a couple of AC PD guys. There was a girl from ACPD. I think some like State Park Police or something in there. But
they were all over.
What I didn't get was Atlantic City's in Atlantic County.
Right.
And they went to Cape May County. I was like, wait, I don't know. So how was it? I mean, did your brother make it harder for you? Did you get messed with?
So that's a funny story. Funny, but not funny. So first day in the academy, fucking sucked because it was snowing. There's ice on the ground, and they're yelling at you, making you beat your face and whatnot.
Was that a bood?
Yep. A dude,
the goat of Cape May County.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Goat. He's a beast. A beast, not a boot. A beast.
Yeah. So for those at home who there's probably a lot of Jersey cops that if they listen to this, they hear the word Bood and they shake a little bit. Eli Bood worked for Wildwood or North Wildwood PD. An amazing cop, but he was an instructor at the Cape May County Police Academy and has influenced thousands, I'd say, of cops. Mainly Jersey cops, but I'm sure there's a percentage that went on to other states. And this guy was when we went through, he was probably in his early 50s,
yeah,
maybe.
Easily, yeah.
Still had like a six-pack. He's tall, just in shape guy. He's got a tattoo of him choking out another person on his chest, and like normally people when you hear that, you're like, oh man, this guy's like a tool, and they're like, no, that it is absolutely legit. And he loved running. And I remember I think Lieutenant Adair from Wildwood or North Wildwood came in, and he was telling us a story about how they were partners on the bikes. They were eating pizza, and he sees someone walk in the pizza shop, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna yell his name, and he's gonna run because he's got a warrant. And he's like, dude, I'm trying to eat my pizza, and like he goes to take a bite, and he's like, hey Johnny, and he has this really raspy voice, and the kid like takes off running. He's like, yes, and, but he ran past his own bike because he wanted to run after him. And so Adair gets on the bike, and he's like, I can't keep up on the bike. That's how fast he's running. And apparently the whole time he's yelling, I'm gonna get you. This is fun. I love running. And I'm like, who does that? Yeah. His stories are legend. And the coolest thing for me with the boot was when I'm blanking on the names. Officer Lou, I believe it was, and his partner were killed in the line of duty in 2018, maybe. I'm blanking on the year. I went up for the funeral, and our uniform at the time, we didn't have name tags or anything like that. I never worked for Wildwood, and I really wasn't anything special in the academy. I kind of tried to hide. And I never worked with Eli, but he just was walking by me. He's like, yo, Einstein, what's up? And I'm like, you train thousands of cops. The fact that you remember names like that, it was really, that really made me feel cool. Like I was like, you know what, that guy really cares about. Not that instructors don't care, right, but you could tell like he had such a passion for training new officers. But yeah, Eli Aboud. So, what a legend. I think his retirement video got shared like thousands of times. Because so many cops were just influenced by him. So we digress. Sorry. Got a boot love on Eli. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So your first day of the academy, you're getting pushed into the snow.
Yeah, getting fucked with, getting yelled at, and then I go back home, talk to my brother on the phone. He's like, "How was your first day?" I'm like, "It fucking sucked, dude." He's like, "I know." He's like, "I'm gonna call them and make sure tomorrow's even harder." I'm like, "Don't fucking do that to me, man." And he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "The streets are harder." I was like, "All right, whatever." So that was the first day. Wake up the next day, go back in. It's even fucking worse than the first day. I'm like, how is this even possible? How does it get worse than yesterday?
You're like, I got 6 months left.
Yeah. Well, then, like, the next day, they're making us fucking do, like, sit-ups and shit and crunches in the fucking snow and the ice.
Were you in your PT gear or the khakis?
The khakis.
At least it wasn't the PT. Having white PT gear was terrible.
Yeah, well, that was later on.
Oh, yeah.
We had to do the same thing. But, so, yeah, got done. Went back. Well, this time, I went back to my then-girlfriend's house and talked to him. He's like, "Yo, how was today?" I'm like, "Did you fucking tell him to make it harder?" He's like, "Yeah, I made a couple phone calls." I'm like, "You son of a bitch." I'm like, "All right." I was like, "It sucked." He starts laughing. And so my brother, a little funny thing about him is his dream job was always to be a firefighter.
Of course.
Yeah.
So naturally became a cop.
Right. A real hero.
Yeah. First responder, not a second responder.
Yeah, exactly. So he took the PT test and the written test for AC. He was number 1 on the fireman's list. He was so fucking happy because at the same time he was working as a computer, like an engineer, building computers and like, installing stuff in computers. And he was making great money part-time doing that. And then he was going to be a firefighter. So he had the world by the balls. He was making great money. Anytime I talked to him, he'd be like, bro, I gotta tell you something. Like, what? And he started singing that song, Fire.
Oh, what the?
And he's like, I'm number 1, baby, fire.
What was that they had in Ladder 49? I think they sang that at the bar or something like that. But yeah, it's...
So he, like, before I got off the phone with him, he's like, bro, I gotta tell you something. What? He's like, fire. And I started laughing. I'm like, all right, bro, I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll let you know how it is. And then that was it. And I went to sleep. Because it was Valentine's Day, I slept at my then girlfriend's house.
Okay.
And I get woken up. I had my alarm set, but I got woken up before the alarm by somebody banging on the apartment door. So I go walking out there, look to the peepholes, 2 uniformed cops. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in trouble. Because, as a fucking recruit, you're afraid of your shadow.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna get in trouble for my shadow being there,
You breathe wrong, you're like, I'm going to jail.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm like, fuck, I should have been home instead of here. I'm beat. So I open the door. I'm like, how can I help you, sir? And they're like, are you Josh Vaddell? My middle name's Lee. And I'm like, yes, sir. And they just flat out, your brother died tonight. And I'm,
holy crap.
I stumbled back into the apartment and started smashing my head on the fucking wall and started crying. There's no fucking way. I'm like, there's no way, you're lying. So I was like freaking the fuck out. They calm me down. Like, we have to go right now. Come on. So I get in the car with my girlfriend. They put me in the SUV, flying down to AC, and I'm asking all the questions. I'm like, who did it? What happened? I'm like, did they catch the guy? This and that. Asking any fucking question that came to mind. And they're like, we don't know anything. They just told us what happened to come get you and bring you down to the city. Bawling my eyes out. Get down to the city, and they bring me inside. They put me in an interview room. Captain comes in. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm asking questions. Who did it? Did they catch the guy? And I was stuck on a fucking loop asking the same questions, trying to get an answer. And he says, preliminarily, it's looking like suicide.
Oh, man.
And I started fucking crying even more. I'm like, no fucking way my brother committed suicide. I'm like, that's a lie. I mean, he wouldn't do that. I'm like, he's the strongest guy I know. He was my role model, as my hero. And he's like, no, preliminarily, it's looking like that. So then I started thinking about like my mom, my sister. And what was your question?
We were going through your time in the academy.
Okay, yeah. So
he was making it hard for you, and
yeah. So I took, I think, like a month off I forget how much time they gave me off from the academy just to get my shit together. But I think after a couple weeks, I had to go back because I was fucking going nuts. I was going stir crazy. You get idle, you start thinking dark shit.
Oh, absolutely.
So I wanted to go back to the academy. And I went to the academy and doing the PT, kept my mind busy. Now, after dealing with everything that I've dealt with, I know that physical activity helps you with stress and depression. So being in there, I felt great. But then I started this downward spiral where I'm thinking my brother was just here 2 years ago, doing the same exercises, using the same equipment, the same gym, same instructors. Like it was getting harder. Like, and where it was helping me, then it started hurting. Yeah. So I said something to one of the, I think my supervisor. I was like, I'm not doing well. I need to go talk to somebody. And fucking back in 2007, even saying that.
Yeah, that was not a thing. It's definitely not what it is today, where like it's acceptable and encouraged to ask for help. Yeah, that was a career ender.
Definitely, especially being a recruit. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, I need fucking help. So they sent me to go talk to somebody, and that guy didn't do shit for me. He actually pissed me off. I tried to fight him because he said some fucking dark shit to me that he disrespected me, and it pissed me off so bad and kind of made me fear of ever asking for help from anybody ever again. So then I did what most cops do. The only thing we know to do is drink alcohol. I made friends with Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker and Jameson, all those guys, great guys.
Are you still in the academy at this point, or had you graduated?
I was in the academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm sure that made it even more difficult. I mean, hitting the bottle, it's kind of what we do, and it never helps anything. But
absolutely not.
At least once you're through the academy, we work with the rotating shifts. I don't know how AC does.
Yeah, but it got
but
even
you
worse.
have your days off. The academy, it's like you don't have off.
Nah. No, we weren't living at the academy.
You didn't have to live in the
we were the last.
home?
No, we were the last class to not have to do it. Thank God. So
I heard stories.
I would get done the academy. I'd go.
Okay.
I didn't go home because my brother passed away.
Yeah.
I started staying with friends because I really couldn't go back. I could have went back to my mom's house, but
it was too hard.
Yeah, it was too hard. Yeah. So I stayed with friends.
Okay.
They helped me through the academy. They kept me on the straight and narrow.
That's good.
And then it got worse once I graduated the academy. Once I was on the street or working in the city, and I started getting to know like the bouncers and stuff at the bars and clubs, then they would just let me in.
Yeah. So your access to alcohol was easier.
Absolutely. And you're going out with a bunch of cops.
Yeah, no one messes with you. You just, hey, this is your bar,
Right. But it's like, that part of my life really changed the course of my entire life. Like, it fucking sucked. The hardest thing I've ever had to deal with.
Did you get to a point where, you're a new cop, you're going down this downward spiral again, or even more so than before, where you realized, I gotta change? Or did something happen, or you just figured it out? Like,
I would go through like stints of it. Like I would go really fucking hard, really crazy, and then I would slow down for a little while, and then I would just go right back to it. But the only thing that really slowed me down was getting shot.
Okay. Now, how long were you on the force before your incident?
9.5 years.
Okay. So by that time, you were a senior guy.
Yeah.
All 9.5 years in patrol.
Yep.
Okay.
And then because of my reputation of going out and drinking and doing dumb shit, I never got anything I ever asked for.
Makes sense.
Right,
it's like we're our own worst enemies most of the time.
And then again with the whole mental health thing, it wasn't a thing back in 2007 or from that time on. Nobody thought to say, hey, a normal person doesn't act like this.
Yeah.
Like, are you okay, kind of deal.
No one. Maybe for guys in the city, if you ride with a partner the whole time, they might go, what's going on?
Right.
And then you'll go, well, let's go have a beer and we'll talk. But other than that, it's pretty much stayed there.
Yeah. But we weren't paired up.
Okay.
The only time we got paired up was FTO, and then when the Dallas 5 got murdered.
Okay.
2016. think it was 2016. Yeah, July. No, 2015. July 2015.
So had you had aspirations to do something other than patrol? You said you weren't getting things you put in for. Did you put in for like another unit or
I put in for everything, even the fucking units that nobody wanted. I didn't get. Like, you want to be on the boardwalk on the bike? Nobody wanted that. Put in for like anybody but you. They had gotten I remember there was a time when they did these little fucking, what are those things that Paul Blart drives?
Oh man, what the hell are they called? You know, the scooters. You know.
Yeah. You look. They showed us pictures of what people looked up.
They denied you from that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like the first.
Pissed a lot of people off.
I did. But it's like the more I got fucked with, the more it made me want to do shit more, like be worse, kind of.
Be more destructive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was
hurting myself. Really, I never thought of it, but I didn't care after losing my brother.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck about me. I didn't give a fuck about nobody.
It's interesting because talking with other people. My first guest, Earl Granville, him and his twin brother enlisted in the PA National Guard. And long story short, they did one tour together. They came back. He wanted to go to Afghanistan. His brother stayed home to start a family. And while he was in Afghanistan, his truck hit a roadside bomb and he ends up losing his leg. So he's recovering. He gets out of the hospital and his brother took it really hard and committed suicide. And he realized, thankfully, the first thing he did was pour out all his alcohol in his house. Because he's like, I knew if I touched one bottle, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've known Earl for, 7-8 years now. Just a phenomenal human being. And knowing, his ups and downs after his brother committed suicide, it was really interesting that there's kind of like this, it's really, there's no in between. It's one side of the spectrum or the other. Yep. You're either completely self-destructive or you are learning to live in the productive way. And I guess for now with mental health being so in the spotlight and accepted as it is now, and conversely to where it was back in 2007, the non-destructive path is the right path. I mean, I think even back then we knew hitting the bottle is not good. I mean, when I came back and was dealing with all my stuff, they always tell you, don't hit the bottle, don't do this, don't do that. I did exactly that, and I knew, but I was okay. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to be self-destructive. Were you able to allow it to not affect your job?
Oh, no, it never affected me. My work performance? Hell no.
Other than not even being able to go on the scooter squad.
Right, yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe a positive out of that.
The silver lining of that is
they were trying to keep your game.
I have my dignity.
Yeah, they were trying to keep your game up. Like,
there you
go. I can just imagine, like, you do your shift on the scooter squad, you get your boys, you go out to the club, and you think you're hot shit, and, like, you get let in by the bouncer, and so everyone's like, oh, these guys are cool, and then you go up to the bar, you're, like, talking game to a girl, and she's like, didn't I see you on a scooter today? And you're like, that was...
No, I never told anybody I was a cop. I always said I worked sanitation or something, or I was a firefighter.
I always used to say I was a penguin trainer at the Camden Aquarium, because look, were a couple years where you didn't know if people find out you were a cop was gonna be a good or bad thing.
Right.
And it's funny now. I don't have a backstory anymore because when I tell people I'm a cop, they don't believe me. They're like, no, really, what do you do? Like, you're a teacher or like an artist, or like, are you like a DJ or something? Because I wear, I'm covered in tattoos. I wear weird clothes. I'm like, no, I swear to God, I'm a cop. They're like, no, we don't believe it.
Yeah.
And like, someone has to come in and like verify, but yeah, I never thought I'd have to not have the backstory anymore because no one believes me.
Right. That's right. Even now, I get weird telling people that I was a cop and I got shot. I imagine do people ask you a lot of weird questions? Yeah, I mean, they see the way I walk, they see the scars and whatnot, and naturally they're curious, so they ask.
Yeah, and
I don't usually. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I don't usually flat out tell them what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I usually give them like multiple choice answers.
Shark attack.
Yeah, I'll do shark attack, motorcycle accident, stroke, and then when COVID happened, I was like COVID. Then I was like, after that, then I was the vaccine. Like,
oh my gosh!
So I just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Most people would never pick getting shot in the head.
No, I mean, well, I don't know the percentage of cops or really anybody for that matter that have been shot in the head, but I imagine that the survival of that is
very low.
I don't know if it's above 1%. I mean, I don't know.
No, it's not. It's well, like me particularly, my recovery and where I'm at now is a quarter of 1%.
Oof. Oh my gosh.
0.25.
Wow. So you were on the force for, you said 9.5 years.
Yeah.
So run me through your night. Like, let's hear it.
Regular night, Labor Day weekend, 2016.
Okay.
Just we're creatures of habit as humans.
Mm-hmm.
We stick to the same shit, and that's what the day before. So September 2nd was regular day. I got done shift, went home. My wife was getting ready to walk out the door. We basically would high five at the door.
Mm.
She would take the kids to school. Our 2 daughters at the time. She would take them to school. I would sleep for a few hours. Wake up, pick them up from school, come home, and just do dad stuff. Play, cook dinner, and then my wife by then she would get done work, come home, we'd have dinner and hang out. And we'd sit out on the front porch. The girls would be playing on the sidewalk, riding their scooters. And just that was the day. And then I would sleep after dinner. I would sleep maybe an hour more. Then I'd wake up, do a quick workout, and then start getting ready, shower, get dressed, and go.
What shift did you work?
Charlie, midnights, so 10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
That's 12. No, that's 10.
10 hours.
You worked 10. So did you work? Was it four tens, then 3 days off, or
yeah, 4 tens, 3 off.
Same 3 days off all the time, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could have had weekend, but that's the funny thing. When I went back to work, because I had just gone back in July of 2016, because I was out for a while. I had a couple surgeries from work, and I went back, and because I had so much seniority, I could have had weekends off on that shift, but I chose the same days off that my partner Tommy had, and the other younger guys. And my wife kind of gave me shit about it. She's like, "Why would you pick those days off and not weekends? You could spend time with me and the girls." I was like, "Fair, but do you want me to come home in one piece, alive, or do you want me to die at work?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I can work with these young guys that are gonna have my back, or I could work with people that don't want to do any work."
I guess you proved her wrong, right?
You
made a point.
Yeah.
You made a point.
I made my point. Yeah.
Not that you purposely did this, but
But we did get the same set days off.
Okay. How long were you on that midnight shift for?
Fuck. Maybe a year, I think.
Okay. So you'd work with those guys. So I imagine how many guys are on your squad? Like.
Back then, I don't even know. Because they had a lot of guys and they had a lot of people inside. They had people at different units, like with the FBI or other task forces.
Oh, right on. Okay.
But we could have at that point in time, we'd have maybe like five guys on the street, 5 patrol cars on the street at the time. It was fucking insane.
Wow, for Atlantic City, that's.
Yeah. I think the night I got shot, we might have had probably 5 or 6 cops on the street.
That's crazy to think about that. Man, and not only is Atlantic City a city, but it's a tourist attraction.
Right.
So you have your population and then your transient population that have and probably exponentially increases.
Yeah,
all the people there.
Exponentially.
So I imagine you're going from call to call to call.
Yep. And so going in that night I just felt like something, like the night was gonna be nuts. Like there's like an electricity in the air that I felt like, damn, it's gonna be a fucking wild night. Like I just had to mentally prepare myself for it. And I get to work, same shit. Go in, roll call, get your assignment, get your car, your rifle, get in, hit the street. And the first part of the night started off nuts. Going call to call to call, just going around like crazy. And after a lull in the action, I'm not gonna say who, but one of the other guys that I we always stayed together. Like me and Tommy, we always stayed together with a couple other guys. And we were running and gunning, like we were trying to get warrants or drugs. And somebody's like, "Hey, you guys want to have a donut competition?"
Typical cops.
Yeah. Well, you know you can defeat the traction control in the Caprices, right?
Can you? I don't think I ever drove a Caprice.
Yeah, if you hold the traction control button down for like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, it disables the traction control, so you can like do power brake and do donuts or drift.
Oh my gosh.
So we did that. We were having a competition. I'm like, "Do you guys know that I won the fucking driving award? Like, you're gonna challenge me to this shit, or you're gonna lose." So I forget. One of the other guys went first. They did a shitty job. So then I got in. Well, I was driving as it is. I always drove. So I fucking ripped the biggest fucking donut, like drifting around their car, like just fucking around. And obviously I won. Tommy was like, "Yo, can I try?" I'm like, "Nah, bro." I'm like, "You don't know how to drive." He's like, "Can I just try it, please?" I'm like, "Fine." I let him try it. Something happened to the car where the power steering stopped working. So I'm like, "You're fucking driving the rest of the night, dude."
Yeah.
And then because he was driving, I was looking out, and we were driving past this one alleyway by the walk, and I saw a group of people up in the alleyway. I'm like, "Yo, pull up in here real quick. Something's going on." Because there was 2 guys too, as lookouts. So we come pulling up, hit the lights, and we come flying up, and I saw one guy out with a gun out against somebody's head. I was like, "Holy fuck!" So I grabbed the door handle, threw the door up in my elbow, unholstered, and as I'm standing up, getting out to engage him, I knew I had him dead to rights, perfect backstop, which is a cement wall from the parking garage, so I didn't have to worry about shit. I was gonna light him up, and I didn't realize he started running past me, and he's just running past me. I took a step to go at him, and then he just fucking turned, and just fired off of a round. And because I have a big ass fucking head, that shit caught me right in the head.
Did he just one time fired one shot?
At me, yeah. And the first shot he fucking fired hit me, but he kept running and he was still shooting back.
Okay.
Shooting back at us.
Oh my gosh.
But,
So you get hit right off that first shot?
Yeah, first round.
Do you go down? Like, do you remember what happened after that, or I mean, like what?
Yeah, I didn't know it was hit. I just fucking, my body just shut off. Like I fell on my back. I still had my gun in my hand, but I couldn't feel nothing. I could see, I could hear, but I couldn't move or talk yet.
Oh wow.
Then I heard more gunfire. I didn't know it was my partner shooting, returning fire. I just fucking thought maybe one of the other guys had an automatic weapon just fucking spraying us. And I'm like, fuck, I need to get back into this fight. We're outgunned. So I just heard, it sounded like they were just fucking laying off rounds, but really it was Tommy just fucking emptying mag. I think he emptied like 2 mags.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you go down, your partner gets in a foot chase with this guy. I mean, where is his shooting, I guess, in relation to where you got shot? I mean, is it feet, a block?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was probably feet.
Wow. And I imagine, did like time stop? Did it feel like?
Really? No. I mean, it was just live. I was just laying
there. You
there.
were living it?
I was still stuck in my body, basically.
Okay.
I couldn't move. I couldn't do nothing.
Wow. So you hear the gunshots. What happens next?
Gunfire stops. Then I hear Tommy yelling on the radio, "Shots fired. My partner's hit." What the fuck's he talking about? I didn't feel nothing. I'm good.
So you didn't realize you were shot. You just knew you couldn't move.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And Tommy comes running over to me. He's, "Josh, you okay?" I'm trying to talk, trying to say "Get me the fuck up" kind of deal, and nothing was coming out. And I could see his face was as white as a sheet of paper. What the fuck is going on? Why does he look like that? And then more guys start showing up. Somebody says, "Take him to the fucking hospital." Because Tommy was yelling me, "Where the fuck's the ambulance?" And they were staging because it was basically in the middle of a gun battle.
Yeah.
They weren't coming in. So somebody said, "We got to take him ourselves." They picked me up, trying to get me in the backseat of the patrol car. And the whole time I could see the blood pouring out of my fucking head, but I didn't know it was my blood.
Okay.
I didn't know where the fuck the blood was coming from. And then they get me in. Tommy's holding my head and he's like plugging the fucking hole. But it didn't hurt here. He was pushing so hard on my head to stop the bleeding. It hurt on the left side of my head.
Oh wow.
So that's the only pain I felt, which is weird. because the back seats of the cars are plastic.
Not most comfortable ride ever.
No, hell no. So then the car starts driving. I'm laying there like looking up at him like, what the fuck? Like, if he's here, who the fuck's driving the car? Kind of deal.
Was it your car that they were driving, or a car?
Yeah, a car.
Okay.
Well, not thinking about it now. No, it wasn't our car because the car didn't go in park all the way when Tommy jumped out. So it rolled backwards.
Okay.
It hit a fucking pole.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
You get dinged for the accident?
I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised
I mean,
if he did.
Like, sometimes you hear those stories all the time. You're like, really? You're gonna ding me for that? Like,
yeah. The defense attorney tried to ride us for not putting on our body cams.
Okay. And so you guys had cameras at the time?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, this shit fucking happened.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, we didn't even know what the fuck we were rolling into. But again, it's complacency for anybody that's law enforcement out there. It almost got me killed because I expected it to fucking go every other way. That's always gone. You roll up on a group of guys, warrants, gun, drugs, whoever's fucking holding what is going to take off running. Similar to the story you're telling about Eli. He knew the guy had a warrant. He was going to call his name to take off running. So that's what I expected it to happen. And obviously it didn't fucking happen that way. So I had my guard down. I didn't expect to roll up into a gun battle.
Yeah.
We again, we weren't dispatched. We were just patrolling.
Man, that's crazy. So what hospital did they get you to?
Right to AC. I was luckily, I think, I was like a block and a half away.
Because there's a trauma center right in Atlantic City, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically level 1. The reason it's not level 1 is because the population that lives in AC all year round, they don't account for the influx of visitors in the summertime, which is hundreds of thousands of people.
But for the argument that they're as good as a level 1.
Oh fuck yeah, they are. I mean, they deal with gunshots and any traumas
Yeah.
all the time. And I was fortunate enough that night the stars aligned for me. That the team of doctors and the guys that I had with me that night were there. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen, including like up to me getting shot. As I said earlier, I was in a fucking bad place for a while. I didn't realize it now. I mean, I didn't realize it then. I realize it now. That it was a cycle of shit. I was trying to numb pain that I didn't even know I fucking had.
Absolutely.
I was wondering why I was the way I was, even growing up. But I just never understood it.
Yeah.
And, getting shot slowed me down because, I had to go to the hospital. And it taught me to appreciate life. I had a near-death experience that I fucking...
Yeah, I don't think you can come any closer to death than, getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
So it hit the right side of your head?
Yeah. So you see the scars here.
Yeah, I've always seen the scar. Did they have to put any plates or what did they do to
that's what this is.
treat that? That's a metal plate?
It's like a medical grade plastic. It's inert and it's very dense. So inert to the point where it has a low chance of rejection because it's such a big fucking piece of prosthetic, so to speak. They chose that. It's called PEEK. They chose that material because I was already exposed to it. Because I had hip surgery. I tore labrums in both my hips, and they used the same type of material as the anchors to put like a new.
You literally have a thick skull now.
Fuck yeah! I mean, I had thick skull to begin with.
Yeah, that's thicker skull.
That's what stopped the bullet.
Did it? So I mean, did they tell you did it come in from the front? Did it
no, it went
the trajectory of it?
It went on sideways, basically, perpendicular to the midline of my brain. It went in so deep, it stopped right around the midline.
Is the bullet still in, or were they able to get it out?
Nah, they just left it in there.
Wow. So the bullet's still there.
Yeah.
It's always gonna be there.
Yeah, that's why I fucking walk like this when I walk. The head's a little heavier. Nah, just kidding.
How long were you in the hospital for?
So I was in the ICU for. I got shot on the 3rd, and I left, I think, on the 15th. So 12 days in the ICU. And then they moved me to an inpatient rehab facility in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, called Moss Rehab. And then
Elkins Park.
I forget exactly what part
yeah.
it is.
How long were you there for?
2.5 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. What kind of rehab did you have to do?
Everything. Speech therapy, cognitive therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy.
Okay.
Basically everything. I had to relearn how to do your daily tasks that you take for granted doing. I had to relearn how to brush my teeth, how to do the toothbrush,
Wow.
how to bathe, make sure I didn't forget shit. Because, you know, the right side of my brain got damaged. It affected the left side of my body. So I didn't even know my left side of my body existed. So I would get undressed and I would still leave the left side dressed.
Okay. So, you're completely paralyzed on your left side?
Yeah, I mean, I can move my arm and I can walk,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have the fine motor skills in my hand. Like, I can't reach and grab a beer or anything. I could hold something in it,
Okay.
but I can't actively grab
You have
something.
to put it in your hand?
Yeah.
So you have feeling still?
Yeah, I can feel now. It came back. The feeling came back.
I guess because of the therapy and stuff?
Yeah, and then just your brain...
regenerates.
Yeah, it's, they call it...
Neuroplasticity.
Yeah, neuroplasticity.
That's a big word for cops.
It is, yeah.
Can you spell that?
You really don't?
No.
You not got my brains blown out. I'm still pretty intelligent.
Did you lose any actual part of your brain?
Yeah, I mean, I got pictures of the backseat of the patrol car where there's brain matter.
Oh, wow.
On the back seat, on the ground, my partner's clothes, like brain matter. There's just fucking brains everywhere, dude.
So you're in 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got out,
I made a brain up in there, you know. Normally
it's
people
such a stupid dad joke.
People get a strip club and make a brain. I made a brain.
It's such a stupid dad joke. I love it. So you get out of the rehab center, and I mean, you go back home.
Yeah, I mean, I was going crazy being in the rehab because I was up there by myself. My wife, kids were here, an hour and a half away, and my wife gave birth to our third daughter 2 weeks later.
Oh my gosh.
And she's a fucking badass.
Yeah, that. How old were your kids at the time?
5 and 7.
Oh, they take it hard, I imagine.
Well, they didn't know exactly what happened to me until I came home, and like we wanted to tell them ourselves what happened.
Yeah.
And we wanted to wait until they knew I was home safe.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they knew is that I had half my fucking head gone. And my wife, the genius that she is, she told them that I was chasing a bad guy, and I tripped and I fell and I hit my head. And our middle child...
Yeah, it's not a terrible, for when you're trying to think like a 5 and a 7-year-old, you know.
Yeah. So our middle child, she's the brainiac. She was looking at me, and you could see the gears turning in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Daddy, when you fell, did you hit a pointy rock? Did you hit your head on a rock, like a pointy rock? Is that why your head's pushed in?" I'm like, "Yeah, like exactly what happened."
Like, that's very smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
Couldn't have thought of anything better myself.
Oh man. So going back, your partner chased a guy, gets in a gun battle.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner doesn't get hurt.
No, thankfully not. No.
But puts the guy down.
Yeah.
Right. And then
the other two got on a train back to Bridgeton or somewhere where the hell.
Somewhere outside the city.
Yeah.
But they ended up catching him.
Yeah.
Do you remember how long that was from like your incident to them putting the cuffs on him?
People have told me it was like within 12 hours.
That's
everything came together the way it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the FBI, state police, just everybody just fucking, instead of, dick measuring contest where it normally is, everybody's like one mission only. We're fucking finding these guys. We're not gonna battle. We're just gonna fucking find these guys. Because up to that point, they thought I was dead. Everybody just thought I was dead.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you no one really thought you'd be sitting here today,
right?
As crazy as you are, doing all the stuff that you do.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that actually knew I was going to be okay, well, two people. One, my wife. She said she just needed to put eyes on me, and she said once she saw me, she's like, he's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
She had faith in me, luckily. And then my commander of the shift, my lieutenant at the time, Bud Brubaker, everybody was sad, upset, because they're thinking he's going to fucking die kind of deal. Because the doctors were telling everybody, like, he's not going to make it.
Yeah.
And my lieutenant, he's like, he's fucking Josh. Like, he's a goddamn cockroach. That fucking dude
you can't get rid of him.
Yeah, you can't kill him. You can't get rid of him.
Oh, man.
So, I mean... Yeah, it made everybody laugh.
Yeah. And in times like that, I mean, you need to find...
Fuck, yeah, man. That's how I live every day.
Yeah, I think our line of work, and not just cops, but, like, public safety. The second responders of the fire department, the 2.5 responders in EMS. All the stuff that we see, it's few and far between that you find someone in this job or this world that doesn't have very dark humor.
Right.
Like, to the outside world, they're all like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, people get offended sometimes.
But to us, I mean, when you say, yeah, he's a cockroach, you can't fucking kill him, people, like, that's going to make us laugh, and that's going to boost morale. I mean, that's what you need, especially in, you know, Atlantic City's, what, 300, 400 guys? Ish?
I don't know what it is now. But back then, we were, like, just under 300.
Okay. It's, you know, it's a big agency, but it's small enough to where pretty much everyone knows each other. It's kind of like where I work. And if something like this happens, that's going to just plummet morale because you got your job to do, but you want to be there for your brother.
Right.
And, you know, so something like that, I imagine, probably made positive waves through, you know, at least your squad or those closest to you.
Yeah.
So they catch those guys in 12 hours.
Right, less than 12 hours, and they brought him to the, I think, Atlantic County Jail, maybe.
Okay. Did they use your cuffs for one of the guys? At least,
I don't think they could, because everything was covered in blood, so they took it as evidence.
Yeah, I guess, I mean...
Yeah, anybody that had my blood on them, they took all their shit.
Okay, take your clothes off.
Yeah.
Get naked.
It's weird, it's usually the females asking the males.
Yeah. So they locked him up. Obviously, there's eventually a trial.
Right.
And you were able to attend.
Yeah.
And you testified against them. Right?
I did, yeah.
I mean, that's a huge... How'd that make you feel? Was that empowering, or, you know, was it emotional to relive that? I mean...
Nah, I mean, I really don't... I just felt like it was any other, like, if I was in front of, like, anytime I ever went to trial before, I just felt like it was just that kind of, you know, just my job, just a job I got to do.
I mean, that's a hell of an outlook. And they ultimately got sentenced, and...
Yep. But recently they got their attempted murder charges, they got them overturned, or something like that.
Yeah, I saw they got that overturned, but they still were convicted on... So what you interrupted was a robbery.
Yeah.
And beyond just a robbery, you know, we always say, like, we will give our life for someone else. I mean, you saved a child's life.
3 of them, yeah.
3 kids?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, was the oldest 15?
I think it might have been 15 or 16.
Yeah, I mean, they could have died that night.
Yeah, and they would have.
You saw that and literally sacrificed yourself for 3 kids that, I don't know, you probably never met.
Actually, that's fucking funny that you say that, because a half hour before the whole incident happened, my partner and I had stopped them on the street on Pacific Avenue.
Okay.
By Tropicana. Like, I was breaking their balls because they were like, "Yo, why the fuck you stopping us, man? Like, leave us alone." We knew they were teenagers. We're like, go the fuck home. If you're not out here at 2 o'clock in the morning, we won't be fucking with you. So that's what they were doing. They were walking home, and these guys were stalking them and caught them in that alleyway.
Wow. But so they got convicted on the robbery charges, so they're still doing a decent amount of time.
Yeah, I think probably like 12 years or something.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, they weren't the ones that shot. I mean, they were just there.
They were.
I'm not mad at them for anything.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't pull the trigger and cause this. The argument can be made they were, was it vicarious liability and whatnot. When I learned that word in the academy, I was like, this is cool. That's a big word. I can use it. You know.
Sounds good.
Have you gotten a chance to meet those kids since the incident?
No, one of them wrote a thank you letter to me.
Okay. Thanking
me for taking the bullet that was meant for him.
That's gotta be weird to read. I mean, especially coming from a kid to think like that.
Yeah, for real.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. One of the victims died, I think, a couple weeks later.
Really?
Yeah, I think somebody from whatever that group was, I think, came and killed him.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, that night you saved 3 lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get back home, you're recuperating. I mean, did you know your career was over? Did you have any belief that you were going to try and come back? I mean,
no, I expected it was over.
Yeah. How long, I guess, after the incident were you officially retired?
I think 6 months. It was May 1st of 2017.
Okay.
So about 6 months, I think that comes out to.
Wow. Is your partner still on the job?
Yeah, because he only had a year on the job.
Oh, wow.
Like full-time year on the job.
That's a hell of a first year.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ. Is he still on patrol? Is he...
No, I think he moved into the detective bureau.
Okay.
He's inside now.
Do you talk frequently, or do you keep in contact, I imagine?
With him, you know, break each other's balls all the time.
Maybe if he was a little quicker, on the trigger.
Yeah. He's busy between work, his family, school, and all kinds of shit. So.
Okay. And were you living in Atlantic City at the time, or outside?
No, I was living outside of Egg Harbor Township.
Okay. What's that commute? I know we're right outside Atlantic City. It's
10, 15 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well, I mean, at the time, I had a fast car, so it was pretty quick for me.
What'd you drive?
An Audi S5.
Ooh, okay.
With a V8 and a supercharger on it.
So, like, 8 minutes?
I don't know what my record was.
For legality purposes, we'll just say it's a 15-minute drive.
Yeah. The statute of limitations is up on that, so I can say whatever.
Fair enough. So...
Probably like 10.
When you realize, like, look, I'm not going back to this job, did that cause any extra stress on you, or were you kind of like, all right, it is what it is? What was going through your head besides the bullet?
Right.
Besides the bullet.
I really don't know. I think maybe like a sense of relief kind of deal.
Okay.
Because, like, I knew I didn't have to work that hard to go back, Like, I just could relax and enjoy life, really.
Yeah, I mean,
I
can't say you didn't earn it.
Right.
So once you were officially retired, did you start, like, planning what to do next? Or, like, what was, like, the next step for you?
Yeah, that was a hard thing.
Yeah.
That in between. I struggled a lot with mental health issues at the time. That didn't stem from the shooting. Okay. I later found out that it stemmed from my entire life, my childhood and everything. And it's just that the shooting exacerbated it, made it worse. Because, I had all this anger from my past. Then I was mad at life that I was fucking shot in the head, missing half my head, disabled. I had to relearn how to do everything. So I just, again, with the downward fucking spiral. So it was affecting me. And then I got the right kind of mental health treatment that I needed. Okay. That's when I learned, when I went to a facility, shared my story, and it inspired other people to share theirs and then be stronger in whatever they were struggling with. And that's when I learned that, hey, this is my new purpose.
Your new purpose, to continue serving, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you saw, obviously this is an incredible story. and what's interesting, when I meet with people who have a story to tell, especially one like yours, the common answer is it's nothing special. Yeah. Right?
So much worse.
Going back to Earl with losing his leg and then his brother, it's like, it is what it is. My last guest, Jeremy Charlo, he was a cop in the Midwest, was ambushed and shot, I don't remember how many times, but in his arm. And even he's like, it is what it is, man. Like, and it's always interesting, at least for me, when I share my story, people call and go, man, I can't believe what you went through. That's incredible. I said, and they go, I can't compare. Right. And
it's not a comparison.
The first thing I say is, listen, this isn't as you said earlier, it's not a dick measuring contest. Mm-hmm. I always give the correlation to a car crash. I said, look, you could be a person that flips your car 6 times, you're in the ICU for 6 months, where you flatline 4 times, you wake up and go, give me a beer, that was a Tuesday.
Right, yeah.
I could get in the fender bender, and we all know there's fender benders, the cops out there, that you go out there and they're like, there's that person that's literally acting like they're dying on scene, and you're like, I think the accident made you put wax on your car.
Right, yeah.
And to them, they may not be able to drive a car ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma, life, everything that's encompassing within that is all, I think it's subjective. I always get the words objective or subjective mixed up, but it's not one for all.
Yeah.
But it's incredible to hear, how humble you are, because you said, well, I have a story to tell, but it's nothing crazy.
Right.
So did you begin telling your story?
I did. I started traveling around, sharing my story with a PowerPoint presentation with pictures and videos and stuff. Mostly to law enforcement and first responders.
Okay.
Just trying to break that stigma down of the wanting to get help and it being okay to get help. So the more you talk about something, the less taboo it becomes.
Absolutely.
And I learned that when I was at the facility, when I realized my new purpose, sharing my story empowered them, the other residents and patients, to share their stories, and it inspired. Then it just started spreading around. People were inspired. They were inspiring themselves.
That's amazing.
And they were way stronger to focus on themselves.
Wow. When you realized you needed to get help,
I was afraid.
You rightfully so, because we're still in that time frame where even with this 2016, 2017, it's still. Look, even today, I think there's still a stigma attached, but it's a lot better. But I think that was the changing of the times, right around that 16, 17, 18 time frame. But you raised your hand and said, look, I'm not okay.
That time it wasn't. I didn't come out and say, like, hey, I need help that time, because again, I was afraid of how I was going to be treated. Okay. And losing my brother, back in 2007, I felt shame to say that he had committed suicide, because to me, I just felt like it made him look weak, made me look weak to say, I lost my brother or a family member to suicide. So I felt the same kind of shame for me to tell somebody, like, I'm going to kill myself kind of deal, or I need help.
Wow. So how did you get help? What did you do?
Retired deputy chief from Atlantic City, Bill Mazer, who, after his retirement from the department, he started working for a mental health care company. Okay. He noticed that something was off about me. He took me out to lunch one day, and he sat across the table from me. He's like, Josh, how are you doing? And default answer was, I'm good, I'm fine. And he asked again, no, but how are you doing? I'm good. He asked again, I'm like, I'm fucking good, what? And he's like, well, how are you feeling emotionally? And when he said that, I'm like, he fucking knows, like, the jig's up. So I'm like, Bill, honestly, I was like, I'm thinking about killing myself. And when his response was, I know. I'm like, how the fuck do you know? Because of the job he does now, he knows that traumatic incidents like this are going to bring shit from your past to a head, and it's a lot to deal with. And he recognized that I wasn't myself. So he got me into a facility out in Arizona, and I stayed there for a month. I learned a lot of skills to process. Anytime I was feeling like I was stuck in that vortex of a downward spiral, I could catch myself and get myself out of it, kind of deal.
Man, that's awesome. It's interesting. I think they have it in the academy now. We did it a lot in the Marines. We called it death by PowerPoint, suicide prevention, and they always talk about. It's within the QPR, you literally have to go up to them and go, are you thinking of hurting yourself? And they teach, don't worry, you're not going to put the idea in their head and all this stuff. But what we found is, look, it is not a comfortable subject to talk about, especially when
it is now
for me. For when you're in it, you get it. Like, and when I talk to people, I have no problems being flat out like, look, are you gonna try and hurt yourself? Are you suicidal? But when you're not doing that, right? And they tell you to look out for your brothers, your buddies, whatever.
You just gotta be like, when you ask somebody that, you gotta be ready for the answer.
You have to be ready for the answer. But I think a lot of guys are afraid because they don't want to piss off who they're talking to. Right. And for the longest time, it was that whole mentality of no, they're I don't want to, I'm scared to, put my nose where maybe it doesn't belong, and obviously we know now, no, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know about how when you talk and whatnot. When I teach, I tell them, I'm like, look, I'd rather anybody be pissed off at me and never speak to me again, because I intervened and made them realize certain things, and that kept them alive, than have someone like me and commit suicide. Like, what's the purpose of them liking me if they're gonna die?
Yeah.
Hate me the rest of your life. I don't care. You're alive. That's all I care about.
What you save their life, they'll come back around to like you.
Yeah, I've yet to have one person that I've intervened with continue to hate. I have a lot of people that probably hate me for other reasons, but yeah, I think they realize, even if there's anger at first, once they go through that whole process of recovering, they get it, and a lot of people are thankful. I look back and knowing, like, the chief I had worked for at the time when I was going through all my stuff, when he confronted me and helped me get better, like, I am forever grateful that he did that. And that was back in 2012 when, again, you did not talk about this. And I worked for him as a class 2, so I wasn't protected by the union. I was part-time. Like, he should have just said, hey, it's not working out, we're going to get someone else. But he stuck his neck out there to help me. And I mean, that right there said, if he's doing this for me, I'm not going to gaff him off. I'm going to take this seriously and get better. And it's guys like that, it sounds like Bill Mazer, that are doing good in the world.
Oh my God. Ton of help.
It's
a ton of good.
Yeah.
He's helped. He continues to help first responders too.
He's still working in the mental health industry field, I guess.
Yeah, he helps a lot of cops and even the firemen and dispatchers. A lot of first responders.
That's awesome. So you start talking. I mean, what's like the coolest venue or group you've gotten to share your story in front of?
I mean, I spoke at the Philly Stadium to state police guys. I've been all over speaking places, but the scariest one for me was I spoke to a group of kids at the Atlantic City Boys and Girls Club.
They let you speak to kids?
Yeah, right.
I mean, look, that's great.
When I got asked for, I was more surprised that they asked me to speak to kids than I was when I got shot.
I mean, knowing you, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, but that was fucking. I've spoken to groups of kids twice, and both times I was fucking nervous because I had to toe that line of not fucking them up or saying the wrong thing, like scarring them, and then
putting a scar on their heads.
Yeah.
Were you able to go both of those times without cursing?
Yeah, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a feat in of itself.
Uh-huh.
Which is, it's interesting. Did you do any like public speaking classes or courses? No. You just started telling your story.
Yeah.
Wow. I was fortunate that I got linked up with a retired colonel from the Army who taught me how to tell my story.
Okay.
And I already knew I was clunky, and I when I started, I did the PowerPoints, and he taught me how to tell it, but also I didn't have to curse. Like, it's in our nature to curse. It's we use the F word like a comma.
Mm-hmm.
But once he told me to tell my story, for me at least, I was amazed that I was like, wow, I don't have to worry about whom I'm in front of, because I'm not going to drop an F-bomb every other word. I also realized that I don't sound, like that way. I don't want to say like a douche, because when you tell your story, no matter how you tell it, you're not a douche for telling your story. But we all know there's instructors that teach, and you're like, oh God, please stop talking.
Right. Yeah, I use like select curse words now. Well, I don't call them curse words. I call them sentence enhancers.
There you go. I like that. It's like Mio for the water.
Yeah.
It's Mio for your vocabulary.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like being able to be myself too. You know, I could make jokes, make people laugh. It's like a roller coaster of emotions when I'm doing presentations.
I found like I've been fortunate enough to listen to tons of different stories from those who have been severely wounded to I mean every story is amazing, but it's those guys that and girls that when you're listening to them and they're either missing a limb, half their head, something where you're like locked onto them, they tend to interject comedy at the perfect times. I remember right before, and this is going back before I got into all this, when I was getting ready for Afghanistan, I knew that deployment was going to be completely different from Iraq because I went at the end of the war in Iraq. Like, we didn't see shit. But I knew where we were going, and with my new assignment, it was going to be, I was going to war, like a true war. And I knew a Navy nurse who was working in the Wounded Warrior ward at the time, and I was able to get up to that ward because I wanted to meet some of the Marines that had just gotten hurt to kind of get my mind right. Mm-hmm. And I met this young Lance Corporal, and by here I'd already done police, fire, and EMS. Like, I've done fire and EMS since I was 16. I was a cop at the time, and I'd seen some pretty traumatic incidents. But I go up, and it was this Lance Corporal who had lost both his legs, and I guess I was very somber. And I remember he just, at one point he goes, "Nubs!" And he starts shaking his nubs, and I'm like, and he goes, "Dude, fucking laugh. I'm alive." Right. And I was so taken aback. I'm like, what? He was so full of life. And I was like, wait a minute, what just happened here? And that really was like a pivotal moment because so much bad had happened to him days before, and here he is going, "No, man, I'm alive." Exactly. Like, I don't care. My life is different. I'm alive. And that really set in motion, not knowing then that I would be kind of getting into this realm where that comedy becomes normal. One of my friends, Jonathan Lopez, he lost his left arm in a motorcycle accident in Germany. And so we always, we'll go like high 10, or they'll do the YMCA and they'll make him be the A, and he just holds up a sign. Like, and it's those things that I've seen, like, that I guess helps the people you're talking to, but I'd surmise that it also helps you guys, and us. When we talk about it, the laughter is contagious, whether it's going to make someone else feel good. Every time I laugh, it makes me feel good.
Absolutely, me too. I love when people say, "I can't believe he just said that," or "I can't believe you just said that."
Yeah, I mean, I know back, we had one conversation about something with your head, and I forget where I was, but someone with me was like, "What are you guys talking about?" I said, "No, this is normal." And they weren't in this realm, and they were like, I said, "No, this is perfectly fine." And I gotta look back because I remember that conversation. I'm like, I can't believe we just talked about this stuff. But it was, comedy is a great stress relief.
Big time. I mean, it saved my life.
Yeah.
It helped me through the dark times.
Was there anything specific that you found really helped you or helps you, like, if you have, an off day or you start seeing that spiral again? I mean, is it a combination of things, or is it one specific thing that you do?
There's no, like, one specific thing. It's just, I guess, staying busy, really.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what I think you said, idle minds makes for a terrible outcome.
Idle hands, yeah.
Yeah, idle hands.
Idle hands are the devil's plaything.
And then you used it to play with your thing.
Exactly. Idle hand.
Yeah, idle hands. Does it count as this? Is it a stranger still? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
I imagine there's an argument for there.
Yeah. There's probably an Urban Dictionary term for it.
That's another. We should call and be like, hey, we've got a term for you. We're trying to figure this one out.
Yeah.
They end up like calling it the Vidal. Like, oh, that's awesome. So I mean, since then, and especially since you started speaking and telling your story, do you still find that there are times when, you know, you wake up or you hear or smell certain things where you kind of go back into just I don't want to say a bad place, but you end up having an off day?
Not so much now.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
You know, like a loud bang, or whatever. That would, like, I would go back into fight mode, and I would reach for my fucking gun, kind of deal. You know?
Well, I imagine.
Or obviously I didn't have my gun, so if I didn't have it there, I would look around, like wherever I was, I would look around for something to neutralize whatever the threat was, and I would go right back into fight mode. Like, fuck, I got to stop the threat.
Yeah.
So I would look around the room for anything I could use as a weapon.
What do they say in the Marines? One mind, any weapon, or something like that. With the Marine Corps martial arts, like, you can kill anybody with anything. I'm like, what about a pillow? They're like, yeah, you can do that. A feather, you know. There's always something you can use as a weapon.
Right. So yeah, I'm a lot better now because I'm able to recognize it, and I tell myself, you know, if it's a loud sound, I'm able to tell myself it's not a fucking gunshot. You know. Yeah. It was just, you know, somebody drops like a book or whatever.
Did you have any trouble like with sleep issues and stuff like that right afterwards?
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had night terrors. It was never, and the night terrors was crazy. The night terrors were never about the incident. It'd be like something different. Like, I'd be clearing the house, and I would get into a gun battle in the house, and I'd wake up out of a deep sleep and scream at the top of my lungs, you know, like, police, drop your weapon or whatever, you know, and I would like come out with my finger, like my hand out, like I was about to shoot, and then my wife she'd wake up and kind of like bring me back to reality, and tell me it was okay, and I would just start bawling my eyes out, crying.
Yeah, that's crazy. You said you had, so for those at home, when I have a guest, even though I know them or if I know their story, I send every guest a questionnaire, just to try and you know, get what they want on paper. I don't create a script ever, but it helps me make sure, you know, there's certain things, and I do get to learn some of the things about my guests that I may not otherwise have known. So when you respond to one question, you said you had 2.5 dogs, 2.5 cats, and 2 rabbits.
Yeah. You would explain the halves?
Oh, please do. Yeah, I am.
Well, I mean, it's not like a legit half a dog or half a cat.
I don't know. I mean,
it's a cat dog with that
cartoon. Do you have a cat dog in them? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
I guess you'd have 2 of them because 2.5. I don't know.
Yeah. No, we have 2 big dogs, a Rottweiler and a pit bull, and then a small couch potato. He just exists.
Okay.
He eats, drinks water, sleeps, and just chills out. Oh, so he doesn't really count as a dog. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
And then the cats, again, the one cat, she goes outside. She doesn't use a litter box. She goes outside to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And she'll stay out there for like a day or 2, and then she'll come back.
Okay, that's like our cat. It's a dog.
Right. And then the 2 rabbits that my daughters got for Christmas. You know, the elf on the shelf magically brought rabbits when I said no more animals.
You remember to put the holes in the boxes though.
Yeah.
That would have been awkward.
Yep.
This rabbit's not moving. Like, crap.
Money well spent.
Yeah. So there was also another term that I did not know, never heard before. I actually asked. So our this episode is being filmed in our off-camera assistant. I don't know. There's got to be a better term for him. But our good friend Dom. And so right before we had gone on, you walked upstairs. I told him about the miscellaneous info because I thought that was hilarious, and we'll just leave that at that. But I said, "What's when he said where you worked?" And you said, "Dom, what was the word?"
Squale.
Squale or squale?
Squale.
Yeah, I was like, "What the hell is that?" Like, I figured it was just knowing you. I'm like, I don't know if I want to ask. Then he's like, "It's just a term for a cop." I'm like, What?
Yeah, it's what they call.
I've never heard that.
Really?
Like, yeah, I don't know. Well, it might be because I'm deaf and I just don't hear things anymore. But
Makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I've heard everything else. But I don't know. Maybe it's a short term. Like, do you have like? Are your like gangsters down the shore? Are they like? Do you have any surfer gangsters? like, are they like?
I've never met any surfers.
Saw, dude. Give me your money. like,
no, we're gonna hold you up with the fins of their.
I mean, I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. Like, you take a report, and they're like, "What happened?" Like, this dude just threatened me with the skanks of his surfboard. And you're like, "What?" And you're like, "Yeah, man, jack me for my bodyboard." And you're like, "What is going on?"
Well, then you fucking deserve it.
Yeah. But yeah, I heard Squale, and I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like it. But to me, it's like that sounds surfer to me.
Yeah.
Like Hawaiian. I don't know. But so now you're public speaking, and you started a foundation.
Yeah.
The Josh Vaddell Foundation.
Yep.
And what is the, I don't want to say the purpose. What does the foundation do?
So it initially started as a way to help with like monetary expenses for law enforcement and first responders that suffer tragedies similar to what I suffered. You know, whether it be on the job or something happens to one of their family members.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to thinking, why limit it to first responders? You know, everyone else suffers tragedies in the community.
Absolutely.
Let's just change the mission statement just to the community.
Wow.
So, you know, we opened it up then to people who've lost their houses to fire, kids killed by gun violence, to help with funeral expenses.
Okay.
Just any
all encompassing.
Yeah, any
Yeah,
tragedy in general, any way we can help.
Wow. I mean, continuing to serve, and you know the
And it's
craziest
just paying
thing.
it forward.
That's a great outlook on it. I mean, when you know, cops are in recent times they've gotten bad raps and whatever. I don't think anybody's ever really. I mean, we have our supporters, but there's always been a thing about being a cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we're expected to be Renaissance men.
Right.
There is no problem that you can't know how to fix, whether it's a broken pipe in someone's house, you know, everything to some kid getting robbed, right? And by and large, you know, cops go to work with the mentality of, I'm here to help somebody. Anybody, if you're in need, I'm here to help you. I don't care what that need is or who you are or where you're from. If you need help, I'm coming.
Exactly.
And so it sounds like you took that mentality and transitioned it to your service after service,
right, by
literally continuing by saying, like, you know what, let's help more than just first responders. You're helping everybody.
Exactly.
Wow. So
because everybody helped us after I got shot. The community stepped up with fundraisers.
That's awesome.
And yet, not only did they help monetarily, but they also helped emotionally too.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I'd be struggling in rehab, I would look at the pictures of posters and cards that I had like all over my rehab room, and I'd be like, they're out there doing that for me. I gotta make them proud. I gotta
awesome.
I gotta get better for them.
That's great. You had, you know, the community support's huge. I mean, people that you've never met, or maybe don't know you met. You know, especially working in the city, you may go to 50, 100 calls a night. Over the course of 9.5 years, you're meeting a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And having that support is
there was kids
really important.
There was kids that didn't even know that were doing stuff in the community. Like there was a local gymnastics gym. They had I think it was like a CrossFit competition against cops.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they were young kids going against cops in a CrossFit competition. And there was another pair of brother and sister, young kids. They started a lemonade stand in front of their house.
Okay.
To raise money, and they donated all the proceeds from their lemonade stand to us.
Wow, that's all. I love hearing that stuff because at the end of the day, there's still a lot of people out there that support what we do and are grateful for what we do. And it's knowing that I believe keeps a lot of us going. So you have this foundation, and how is it funded? Is it all by donations?
By donations, yeah.
Okay.
I've donated times that I've spoken.
Mm-hmm.
There's been times where I've gotten paid and I just put it right back in the foundation.
Oh wow. Are you a nonprofit?
Yeah.
So 501c3?
Yeah.
Yep. I want to know who came up with those numbers. Really
IRS, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you, IRS.
Yeah.
How can people donate to it?
So we have a online web store where we sell merchandise, like hoodies, T-shirts, hats. That's it for right now.
What's the website?
It's actually it's like Farrah's. If you go on, I think on Facebook, the Josh Vaddell Foundation.
Okay.
Either Facebook or Instagram, there should be a link in there somewhere where you can go on the web store and order through that. And this year we plan on doing more activities.
Mm.
We have a lot of things in the works for the coming year to raise more money to help more people, because we're
right on.
relatively small right now. We're pretty small, but we're still able to help any way we can.
What's the term? Small but mighty, or something like
Yeah.
that. So they're on Facebook. Do you have a website too? I mean, the merchandise has its own website, or
Yeah, it's through a company called Farrah's Tees.
Okay.
Up in Toms River.
So if
But we don't have a specific website just yet.
so if anybody just Googles the Josh Vaddell Foundation,
Yeah, it'll come up on Facebook, Instagram.
cool,
I think that's all we have.
awesome. So when you were getting the pictures and cards from the kids, we saw this a couple times overseas where we get the kids didn't know any better. They were just kids. It was the cutest thing where they would have a picture of hey, this is you killing a terrorist. And it's very graphic for a kid. You're like, what the hell? Did you get any weird cards where maybe half a head or something like that? Or
no, because people didn't even know that my head got blown off.
Really?
Yeah, because I had to wear a helmet.
Okay. You still have the helmet? No.
Got rid of that. Once
Okay.
they replaced once they repaired my skull, I was like, get rid of this helmet.
Yeah.
I never want to wear a helmet ever again.
Yeah. So you just you ride a motorcycle no helmet, let's go.
Yeah.
I got a thick skull, I'm good.
No, I mean, it wasn't until I did it on forget what news station it was. I took my helmet off to show people the actual damage that was caused to me.
Wow.
Because most people thought, he got shot in the head, he's alive, he's got to be okay, kind of deal. If he can talk and move around, it's not that bad. So I wanted people to see the actual
No, I still have half my skull missing.
Yeah, I wanted to see what cops really go through.
Yeah.
The realities of law enforcement, the
Yeah,
dangers that we face every single day.
Absolutely.
And you just see, unfortunately, more frequently now, you just see a cop getting shot and killed, or they get shot and then they're back to work. I wanted people to know the real realities of it.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people thought that maybe I had a graze wound.
Mhm.
So I wanted people to know no, shit got fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, you still have a bullet in your brain.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I don't know. It's.
I guess for now, until I get older.
Yeah,
I'm
hopefully it
growing
doesn't cause issues one day. Who knows? I've heard stories about with brain injuries and stuff where they wake up and they speak Mandarin Chinese, and when I got hurt, I just lost my memory and my hearing. I was like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Why
Cool.
why can't I have some cool skill now? But maybe if it shifts, it'll only be good, and you'll end up learning some weird language.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you wake up, or one day, I don't know, you'll wake up with an Australian accent, and people are like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "What do you mean?"
Maybe I'll just do that and
you just start every day, change your accent. Yeah, that's awesome. So is there a venue or location that's a goal of yours to speak?
I've never actually thought of that because I've never been asked. That's
what we do here. We ask hard questions.
I just want to help whoever I can. Really, I don't care what the venue is. I just want to get out there to talk to people.
Just to share your story.
Yeah, inspire others to want to get help if they're struggling through something, and let them know that it's okay to not be okay.
That's awesome. And so you public speak. Do you do any teaching? Like, do you go into academies and stuff, or?
I've never been invited to an academy, but with Dennis Benino from Street Cop, he wants myself and Jesse Hartnett to try and put something together for the company.
That's awesome.
Be working on that soon.
Hopefully, we'll get you in front of a pretty big audience. I know he's got a huge following around the country.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's incredible.
Yeah, oh yeah, I got to meet him a couple times, and I mean, just for what he's doing for the community. I mean, not just teaching, but just in general.
He's making a better cop.
He's making. I remember when he first started it. It really, I realized at least, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff I thought I knew, or even stuff I knew, but I didn't understand like the intricacies of like certain case law. And he literally made like case law for dumb cops. You know, because I mean, we've all read case law and you're like, I'm not a lawyer, this is terrible, and trying to understand it. Yeah. He broke it down to teach cops so they could be better and understand the laws that they're sworn to uphold.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't get better than that.
Definitely not.
And look, it's getting bad guys off the street. I mean, you see it every day. I love when he posts, the texts or something he gets from, oh man, I just took your class yesterday. I just got this bad dude or this, and I'm like, this is awesome.
It is.
You know, because so many of these guys, without it, probably would have been the status quo cop. You know, gotten that nice bust here or there.
Yeah.
But
it makes cops too more, what do you call it? Like, I can't think of the word, but like secure in themselves and their jobs.
Confident.
Yeah. And, that confidence turns into safety. And it protects the cop, protects the citizens. Because they're confident, they're not scared. They're not automatically rushing to judgment to do something,
Absolutely.
And end up being the next bad cop that makes everyone else look bad,
100%. And I'd surmise that when you and Jesse, kick that off the ground, your part of that is going to teach cops to, like you said, don't be complacent. And you literally have to run through every scenario you think could go wrong in a split second.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that's probably going to save a cop's life one day. If not in an actual traumatic event, the aftermath, or just a cop going through whatever shitstorm comes about from being a cop, working these overnight shifts, weekends, holidays. It weighs on us. You don't have to be, it doesn't matter if you're a city cop or you're in the middle of nowhere where you don't need a radio because the one call you get a month, dispatch will call you up and go, hey, John, we got this, so-and-so is calling again. You're still working. You're still putting a bulletproof vest on. You're still going out there to potentially lay your life down for somebody you've never met. And that weighs heavy.
Somebody you never met and somebody that doesn't like you.
Or somebody that doesn't like you, yeah. And it's crazy, like, I can't speak for you, but I would like to think that a lot of cops, most of them anyways, even, that bad guy, that guy that shot you, had you been able to, if you weren't immediately incapacitated, if something happened to him in that moment, if someone else started shooting at him, I'd imagine you'd be the first to throw your body in front of him to protect him.
Yeah.
And, that's what we do. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you choose in life. We're not the judges. We just go, that guy needs help, that girl needs help. All right, we're here to help him. That's a hell of a thing to do for 20, 30 years. Or 9.5.
Yeah, I took the expressway out.
Literally, like, out of the city. So
my brains are still there, though.
Have you gone back to, like, where the incident happened at all?
It's funny that every time I go to the hospital to follow up with the surgeon, when we leave the hospital, pass by there.
Wow. Is there any type of marking, memorial, or any, I don't know, I mean, you didn't die, so it's not.
Nah,
gonna be...
yeah. Why would they memorialize me? I'm just me.
You don't like get one of them stress ball like in the form of a brain, cut it in half and leave it on the side.
Maybe that's pretty funny.
Like with the date.
Yeah. I always thought about putting like my own plaque up there, something like saying like the story of like what this spot symbolizes.
Could you imagine just like see like Joe City Councilman driving by one day and going, "What the hell is that?" Reading it, going, "When did we approve this?"
Yeah.
Like, and just go, forgiveness, not permission.
Right. Yeah. It's like a bronze plate that says the story of like in this spot at this date at this time, this is what happened.
Yeah, I feel like you could get away with it.
Probably not.
Worst they do is just take it down.
It's me, man. If you knew like, all the shit, you would understand. Like, yeah, it's you. You're getting that.
Well, I mean, you did get you weren't even allowed to be on the scooter squad. So,
right.
Again, I think that was a good thing, though.
Yeah. I told you, kept my dignity.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been very awkward had you been on the scooter squad,
and
put yourself in the same situation, and gotten shot. You're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Can you do a burnout on the scooter? Is that a thing?
I don't. Maybe if you put it up against the wall, or it might drive out the wall. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh man. So do you work with any other nonprofits, raise money for anybody else, or is it primarily the Josh Vaddell Foundation?
Trying to think. I've done like the ride to the Police Week ride with Law Enforcement United to raise money for that. We donate also to we do other events with what's that Gilda's Club. Okay. They have a dragon boat race.
Oh, right
every year. So we sponsor a boat and we put a team together.
That's cool.
We like doing community stuff. And it's fun. We get cops to do it, or
that's great.
Whoever wants to join our group.
Right on. Is there any other group, or you want to give a shout out to anybody? I mean, the floor is yours. Give a plug, whatever.
Well, I already got plugged. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? That's the first time I've ever heard that one. Like, oh, I've already gotten plugged. Just give a shout out to anybody.
I shout out. I mean, there's so many people to shout out that I don't even know. Anybody that helped save my life, anybody that's been there for me since, day one, since the shooting. My wife, my family, my friends, Bill Mazer. Just the community in general. There's so many people I could, like the doctors, nurses, just anybody that has helped me get to this point. You guys, just all that support keeps me going.
That's when it comes to traumatic events or just life in general, having that support system is huge.
Big time.
Without it's hard to go at it alone.
Definitely, yeah, and that's
if not impossible.
That's impossible. That was my problem back in 2018 before. Like when I was suicidal, I felt like I could do it myself. Yep. Because I'm like, fuck, man. Like I survived getting shot in the head. I defied all odds. They said I'd never be able to walk again or talk right. And I defied all those odds. I came back. I'm like, if I could do that, I can do this. And I didn't realize that I was that strong that I couldn't beat myself.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to look at it.
So, like even now, like at times when I feel down because it never goes away, like the suicide ideations.
Absolutely, I think it's always going to be with you.
Yeah, So like just thinking about everyone that's been there to support me, like, I gotta do it for not only for my family and myself, I gotta do it for everyone else. Because if I were to off myself, how am I going to continue helping?
100%, and for your 2.5 dogs and 2 rabbits.
Right. Yeah.
I was actually a little bit surprised you didn't have like some weird like I have a llama. Or like an alpaca or something.
If I let my wife, she would have, our house would be full of animals. She's like Mother Teresa with animals. She wants to save all the animals.
Hey, I mean, some of those animals are pretty cool.
You need land. If I had land, if we had a farm, we'd definitely have a shit ton of animals.
That'd be. I surmise you probably have the weirdest animals too.
We actually were talking about getting one of those little goats, like the little ones that you scare and they fall over, they stiff.
I just thought of the. If you feel like YouTube Taylor Swift goat, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got comedy. It's good to laugh.
Definitely.
Wow. I mean, look, your story. I know you said it is what it is, but it is truly amazing and inspiring.
Thank you.
I've I know that somewhere out there, someone that you've told your story to, whether you know it or not, you impacted someone.
I agree, because I'm impacted. Go ahead, sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
I've met so many people along my travels since the shooting and stuff that have still to this day impact me and inspired me and keep me motivated on those days where I feel down and in a dark place.
Wow. What while we're wrapping up, what one piece of advice for anybody that's in that dark place that they're backed into that corner? Piece of advice we give?
Just hang on and ask for help. Find somebody you trust. Just talk to them. Like, hang out with the guys, or if you have a hobby, do something that makes you happy.
Wow.
Keeps your mind busy.
Yeah, I mean, what'd you say? Idle hands.
Idle hands are the devil's plaything.
Devil's plaything, and then you play with your thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Devil's plaything, and then you play with your thing.
You gotta wear a devil's costume.
Like the jersey, like the devil, or the
whatever suits your fancy.
I just thought of like
maybe it's like a BDSM devil.
I just had this weird thought of someone in the Devils hockey mascot uniform doing some weird stuff, and I mean, I didn't wake up today going, that's gonna pop into my head.
Right.
Wow.
Well, same thing September 3rd. I didn't think a bullet was gonna pop in my head, but hey, shit happened. So,
I mean, look, that's a hell of a way to look at life. Yeah, you never know what it's gonna bring.
Right,
every day's a new day, and arguably, you are probably one of the closest that I ever came to not having another day, and you refuse to quit.
Every day, I refuse to quit
until the day you actually meet your maker.
Exactly.
Which, according to I think your commander that said you're a cockroach, you're probably never going to do that. It's gonna be like 22-32, and you're just gonna be like chilling like back in 2016, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm back. But Josh, it's been great having you on the show. I really thank you for sharing your story, opening up. It's when we talk, I know that even though you share your story, it does sometimes not as easy. You share your story, but sometimes things come up and it gets emotional. So I really appreciate you opening up and sitting down with me, because this story is so incredibly amazing. Even though I know you're like, it's nothing. It's going to help people.
One thing I wanted to add is what kept me holding on when I was suicidal was thinking back on losing my brother and the pain that I felt from that and what it did to me in my life in general. I always think about that because I don't want anybody else I know and love to feel that pain that I felt.
Absolutely. I mean, they say when you commit suicide, it doesn't end. It ends your pain, but it doesn't get rid of the pain. It just transfers it to those who truly love you.
Yeah.
And when the first time I heard that, I was like, holy crap. Because look, I attempted suicide, and I remember being oddly euphoric. I didn't care. I was very happy, and I didn't even realize the impact that it would have caused.
Right.
The pain to all those people that they loved, still love me. Some probably hate me, but I mean, it's really true. The pain is just transferred to your loved ones. So
it changes lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
It changed mine for the worse, but it also empowered me to keep me alive.
Well, I'm glad you're still here. Still kicking.
I'm glad you are too.
I appreciate that. I don't think I'm quite I've never been called a cockroach, in a good way.
Yeah. I wish Al Pacino called me a cockroach.
That would have been
cockroach.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Scarface.
I think my partner's gonna watch this later, and he's gonna know that I actually never seen Scarface. I'm just gonna get that out of the way.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's been yelling at me for. He's like, "Oh, you know what Scarface?" I'm like,
You gotta watch it. It'll be your favorite movie.
One of these days I'm going to, and then I'm gonna he's like he always says random movie quotes, and I'm gonna go, oh, that you can say this all, but Anyway, it's been great having you on the show. Thanks for sitting down. I mean, I think we're at about I forget when we started, but we're almost 2 hours, I guess.
Nobody's gonna watch this far into it.
Yeah, they probably they saw you and they're like, cool. And then I sat down. They're like, nah, we're good. But again, thank you so much for coming on the show. For all you out there listening, I mean, I hope you really heard what he had to say. And you got to understand, no matter what, no matter how bad your life gets, there's always a tomorrow. The one thing I always say is everyone has that one thing that when they do that thing, no matter how bad life is, when they're doing it, their problems go away. And the example I use is playing basketball with your friends on the first Tuesday of every month. You get to that court, and for that hour, all you're worried about is the game. Nothing about your life matters. It's just about the game. And no matter even when you come off the court and life smacks you back in the face, you know that on the first Tuesday of the next month, you're going to be good. You're going to be back on that court, and you're going to be with your boys. That's why we say survive until Tuesday. Until next time, everybody. And the exit interview music didn't want to play, so good night.